listening to Ambitious AF, a podcast that will help you level up, find positivity, and put yourself on top right now and every day for the rest of your life. I'm your host, Caroline Lewis, and each week I will bring you a guest or thought that will motivate you to get out of bed every morning with the willingness to succeed. Being ambitious means you are proud of who you are and everything you've accomplished. Only you can make that happen, though. But with the help of this podcast, you will rise to the top. You will find success. You will believe in yourself and manifest happiness. And most importantly, you will become ambitious AF. I know you are eager to begin, so let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on Ambitious AF. It is Friday when you all are listening to this, which means another interview with an ambitious female entrepreneur. So I'm super excited to have you all talk to Alexis here soon. She is a marketing strategist as well as an Instagram guru, and she has an amazing company, Sway Marketing Agency, so more of an agency. And she and I, of course, met over Instagram, and I love her feed. So first off, you have to go look her up on Instagram because I love her aesthetics. I love how she organizes everything. Super informational content on there. And so anyways, we got connected and I knew instantly I had to have her on. So without further ado, Alexis, please say hello to everyone and kind of dive into how your journey started.
Hello. Oh my goodness. That was such a great introduction. I'm so flattered. So I'm a marketing strategist. I do own a marketing agency called Sway Marketing Agency. A little bit about my story, though. I feel like that my story is a little bit different to a lot. I kind of have to go back to where it all began, which was my childhood. I grew up with two amazing entrepreneurial CEOs, like boss parents, and they just absolutely inspired me to just go figure out the entrepreneurial world myself. But the thing is with that was that they were always working. They were always working. And eventually after a while, like that kind of plays on you as a child, right? You see your parents working all the time and you're like, oh, geez, like I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be anything like that. And I guess that my ambition, the flame inside my belly, which is like, it's what I picture ambition to look like, kind of just went out after a while. Because I was like, you know what, I don't want to have this life where I'm never at home with my family, I'm never at home with my kids. So it was kind of suppressed for a while. And I went on my life, I guess, as any child would, through school. I went through university. And then after I graduated university, because my whole life is about education, I didn't know anything different. I was like 0 to 100. 0 to 100, I'm going to go fly overseas to a third world country. And I'm going to intern overseas in Myanmar and Burma, which has been on the news a little bit at the moment. And whilst I was over there, which totally put me out of my comfort zone, like so much. I remember when I was about to go over there, like leaving all my friends, leaving all my family, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I do not want to do this. But lo and behold, I went over there and it was the best experience of my life, because when I was over there, I learned everything that I was 100% not supposed to. I went over there as a marketing intern. I interned there for a job like similar to Seek in Australia, a job search company, as well as a property real estate website similar to like realestate.com in Australia. Okay. So I interned over there for a while, and that is when that flame re-sparked in me, because I realized, like, this is not what I want. I don't want to be constantly climbing the corporate ladder. I don't really want to work for anyone else but myself. And I want to make my life into what I want it to be. It's essentially, when I was over there, the quality of life and the lifestyle that they were living was so different, so different to us in Australia, you know, you in the USA. It is so different. And it makes you think, you know, like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, I could do anything. So eventually I got back to Melbourne and everything kind of went back to normal. I got hired as a marketing manager for a wellness studio as well as a health food company. And I was continuing on my life, kind of suppressing that ambition, that fire in my belly. And then COVID hit and it changed everything. It changed everything. And suddenly I had businesses that were really, really struggling that I just wanted to help. I couldn't help myself. I just really wanted to help them. And that's how Sway Marketing Agency began. I was really helping a lot of businesses go through COVID and put them online and through social media, and became a social media manager. After that, I think that after when COVID really, I guess, started coming down, because in Melbourne we're COVID-free now, which is amazing, I kind of started reassessing on where I want to be in my life and what I want to do and how I'm going to nurture that ambition, how I'm going to nurture that fire that's re-sparked. And I wanted to become a coach. I became a coach because I had all this knowledge of marketing in third world countries and marketing in Melbourne and marketing through COVID. I was like, you know what? I want to spread this. I want to nurture that fire. I don't want to ignore it. And here I am today.
That's awesome.
Marketing strategist.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I just love how you tested the waters, right? Like, it just because you had entrepreneurial parents didn't mean that you jumped into that from the beginning, right? But you also like tested different things, but then came back to that realization that, well, maybe the entrepreneurial life is for me because I can make my own schedule. I can do things kind of my own way, be my own boss, all those kinds of things. And I think that's really important for people to understand, because sometimes people, they're like, oh, just because my parents do this, I feel like I have to do this, and they jump into something without wanting to. Or vice versa. It's like they hold themselves back, even though others, like parents or whatnot, are entrepreneurs or not even, but they hold themselves back because they think they can't do that, right? So it's like kind of weighing both sides. So when you were over and doing the internship, so how was, like, I don't know, how was that experience? Because when you're over there teaching different cultures like that, especially with marketing, it's got to be a lot different than marketing we see now, because marketing now, I mean, I think even marketing since COVID hit is a little bit different. So do you want to just kind of talk about some of like the transitions that you've seen since then and to now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I went to Myanmar, Burma, they were just so far behind. In all honesty, they were so far behind what we see, in Melbourne, maybe in the USA as well. The way that they use technology is completely different to the way that we use technology. So going into that environment with my background was huge. Like, it was a completely cultural, just completely different to what I was used to. And, they were using Facebook as a search engine instead of Google. Like, they weren't using Google. And I was just like, how, like, what's happening here? So the marketing strategies became a little bit different, and the branding strategies became a little bit different, because the things that they wanted to see were very similar to the things that we wanted to see maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was very different. It was very, very different. I think that the main barrier there, though, between myself and them was definitely the language.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100% definitely the language, as I don't speak Burmese. I don't speak it, and they don't really speak a lot of English.
Yeah.
So it definitely became a challenge at some points. And in all honesty, I was over there for almost 3 months, and there were definitely some points where I was just like, oh my goodness, this is so different. This is so different. This is almost too different that I I'm getting homesick, like I want to go home, sort of situation. But that experience in the entire experience really, really, formed the way that I do things now.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet. And even when you do put yourself out there that much and like that's like a huge culture life switch. And putting yourself in that position, it just like it opens your eyes to so much more than what's going around in just your life, like your bubble of a life. And it's like, gosh, there's so much more. But then you're also thinking like, wow, I can't even imagine like if I'm able to take my marketing knowledge to these people who aren't even like up to date with Australians marketing, right? Like what impact, that's a huge impact opportunity that you can make. And then you're able to take that experience and come back to Australia and take all of that knowledge and stuff and say like, oh, well, because you're here, I'm going to help you market and strategize and we're going to get you up here. So, so let's dive a little bit into just like, just the importance of trusting in yourself, making decisions based on you, right? And not letting peer pressure, social media kind of get in the way, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Social pressure is a huge one. Social pressure is a huge one when it comes to influencing what you're going to do and the decisions that you're going to make, especially when that social pressure comes from the people that are the closest to you, right? Your friends and your family, because they don't always agree with what you've got to do. For example, starting my business, my parents weren't for it, which was super ironic considering their background, but they always thought that what they were doing was for myself and for my sister. It was for us, so we didn't have to, or we didn't have to go off and do it ourselves and put our own hard work in. So that social pressure coming down on me to kind of just, lay low, enjoy, climb the corporate ladder, whatever it was. And that's why I did suppress my little fire in my gut for so long. And eventually after breaking out of that, even friends, right? Even friends growing up, especially when I went overseas, my friends couldn't understand that. A lot of people couldn't understand why I would want to work on my business on a Friday night instead of, maybe going out. I think that eventually, after doing all the things that everyone else thinks that you should do and, saying all the things that everyone else thinks you should say, it gets a bit old. It gets a bit old and it feels like that you are unable to make your own decisions yourself and control your own life. And you get to a point, you definitely get to a point in your life where you just say enough's enough. Enough's enough of, the pressure coming through other people. And I'm going to take the reins. I'm going to, design my own life. I'm going to make my own decisions and, because if I'm going to make decisions, it should be mine, right?
Right. Yeah. But I think that's important for people to hear though, because I think a lot of us think that, but we don't actually take the action towards it. And then you're just stuck in this like cyclical cycle of knowing you're meant for more, knowing you're meant to do something else, but you are judging yourself because you feel like others are judging you, right? And you're not, especially with social media in the way too. So you have like friends and family, your peers, your mentors, so you have that kind of opinions and stuff. But then you also have social media because a lot of us now, and since COVID, social media has been, I feel like it's like quadrupled. Everyone's on social media, everyone's running ads. And I think those who wanted to be an entrepreneur and start their own business, it's great to do it, and a lot have done it since COVID because they've been laid off and they're almost forced into it. But now that we're somewhat going back to normal, you guys are a lot more ahead of things than we are. But as we're somewhat going back to normal, it's like new entrepreneurs, they look online and they're like, I can't do that. Like, I can't keep up with that. Like, who am I? Like, I can't even do this. Like, I'm not going to start. I'm not going to even try, because there's no way I can be like so-and-so who reach so many followers, has so many, like, all this kinds of stuff. And they just let all of these other things get in their own way. But it really comes down to blocking that all out as much as physically possible and coming back to your reality, like you're creating your life. So do what you think is best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think one of the greatest pieces of advice that I've gotten from my sister, which we are identical twins, so we're the same age, and she just came out with this piece of advice that I was like, I've just taken with me throughout my whole entire life. And she said, you know what, this is your story. Like, this is, you are the main character of your own story. Like, it's no one else's story. So when you do come onto social media, and like, yes, it can be overwhelming to see all those accounts. Like, and it doesn't matter whether, you know, at what stage you are on social media or in your business, you're always going to have people that you're like, oh my goodness, like, should I even be here? Like, am I a fraud? It will always happen. It will always happen. But I think that channeling that type of energy instead of a negative outlook should be channeled in a positive outlook and be made to go, well, that's really inspiring and that's going to make me want to do all these things. I think that the change in mindset and the different channel of channeling that energy in a different way is a really positive outlook. And I think that no matter where you are in your business, no matter whether you're right at the start, right in the middle, or, you know, you're making 10-figure months, you are always going to have that feeling of, you know, there are other people that are doing great.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I bet you see it a lot more than others even, right? Because that's what you help others with versus just us. Like, I only show up on my social media when I have to do like a live or an Instagram reel, but normally I'm like not even in it because I have other people that help me manage it and whatnot. And I'm even though, like, I'll go there and before I do a reel, I'm like, oh my God, how the heck does she do this? Like, I'm not meant for this. I'm too old. And I like start getting in my own head, even though when I do my reels, right, I get huge response. So it's just like a matter of fighting that imposter syndrome, right? That's like the biggest thing with social media. But you as a marketing strategist, you know, coaching people through all of this imposter syndrome and not judging yourself as much on social media compared to others. You do this all the time. So what is like a piece of advice, or if there's like one piece of advice that you normally repeat to your clients when they are dealing with that imposter syndrome?
That's a really good question. I think that one piece of advice is not enough when it comes to that type of stuff. I think that something that I probably pass down as well, because something about when you are ambitious and when you have that fire and you've got that entrepreneurial need, you have the need to grow and develop and do all that type of things. So I think during my experience, because I've always sought help from people that know more, passing that one of my mentors told me once. She said, you know, one of the things that humans do is that we tell ourselves things that are not true to serve a purpose, right? We convince ourselves something's going to happen to serve a purpose, whether that's because, you know, maybe we don't have a lot of self-esteem, maybe we don't have a lot of confidence, but it's simply not true. We tell ourselves people are going to judge us, so I'm not going to post that, but it's not true. One of the activities that I get a lot of my clients to do is to write down the things that they tell themselves. I tell myself that I can't do reels because I am not confident enough to serve the purpose of, and eventually everything becomes a lot clearer. And the feelings that come in when you getting that imposter syndrome, that's the activity I get them to do, because they suddenly go, okay, well, I'm telling myself this and it's practically a fib. I'm practically fibbing to myself. And, just go for it. Just go for it. And the more that you do it and the more reactions that you get from other people, the better you'll feel about it. Better you'll feel about it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah, I love, just seeing like clients, random people, and just like supporting them when they've hit like over 1,000 views or even more. It's like over 20,000 views. It's like, holy moly, yes, that's the power of social media. But you just have to keep showing up. And I have some clients who are like, I'm too old for this. And I'm not like a marketing consultant. I'm more of like the back end stuff, but I'm still like, no, like if I can do it, you can do it. Don't judge yourself. It's not like TikTok, and I mean, it kind of is, but right, you just don't know until you try. Then the most important thing is like, just have fun. It's your brand. It's your message. It's you. So you shouldn't act like someone else, because that's not being you, right? And you're the reason why your company is around. So just be you, relax, and try a reel, try a dance, or whatever it is.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. I was watching a TED Talk the other day, and he was talking about how when that excuse comes up, like I'm too old, when it comes to technology, when it comes to social media, I didn't grow up with this, versus the younger generations have grown up with this. And he goes on to say, well, we didn't grow up knowing how to drive either. Like we had to learn how to drive. We didn't grow up knowing how to do our own profession. Like we had to learn how to do that sort of thing. So when it comes to, especially the older generation, some of my clients are in that older generation, and putting that block up of saying, like, I didn't grow up with this. Like, it's a little bit harder for me. Like, I didn't grow up with this. I don't want to do it. Like, I'm going to stick with, traditional marketing, or I'm going to stick with something else. Like, is it actually because, you haven't grown up with it, or is it actually because you feel uncomfortable doing it? Is it because you actually feel scared to do it? Because we are all like that. We all have that fear. We all have that feeling. It's definitely about the mindset shift when it comes to that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I don't care who you are. I guarantee you, even like Angie Lee, and she posts the most craziest reels. Like, I'm sure there's sometimes when she's hesitant to post things, right? Because it's like, it's not even just like you and your friends seeing it. It's the entire world seeing it. So it's scary for everyone. Like, I don't care who you are. You're posting to the entire world, but you just got to get past that and pull into that confidence and just know that, right? It's like, it's you and your message. So you show up how you want to show up, and you just got to own it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, that's when it starts coming into like the strategy of marketing, when you're going, okay, well, I'm posting to the whole world, I'm talking to the whole world, I'm doing this to the whole world, but realistically, you are only trying to attract a certain group that will most likely like you, because you have that strategy already there. So that's what I think. When I show up to my stories, when I do my reels, I'm doing it for the people that I know are going to like it, in the most humble fashion, instead of, for the people that won't like it or don't pay attention to it, or probably think that I might be a little bit weird on some occasions, which can be a few, occasions. Me too. That's okay, because they're not forming the personal connection with me. They're not liking my brand. They're not liking, what I've got to offer. Yep. But that's okay, because I'm not trying to target them. I'm not trying to attract them. So I think when it comes to mindset, when it comes to imposter syndrome, you have to think logically a little bit when it comes to Instagram. And yeah, it's a huge one. Imposter syndrome is a huge one when it comes to showing up on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And so last question before we kind of start wrapping up. And I love how you just like jumped in here using the word ambitious. So because not even related to the podcast, right? You just started naturally like using that word. So I would love to know, when you think of being an ambitious person, what is that really to you?
I think that, yeah, definitely being an ambitious person has got so much to do with more, not so much the I guess the rewards of being ambitious. You know, when you're ambitious or you'll have that entrepreneurial mindset, it's about the growth. It's about the journey to get to where you are. Instead of, I want to achieve X, Y, Z, it's okay, well, the journey there is going to be exhilarating. It's going to be exhilarating. And when you're ambitious, that is what you are seeking. That is what the hunger is there. It's the journey, it's the growth, it's the hustle, it's the all the things mixed into one, the highs, the lows, everything. Like, you want that experience. And yeah, look, ambitious is it's a word that I use a lot. It's a word that I definitely use a lot. But as you probably have just heard, I always will use the metaphor like the fire in your gut. It's the fire in your gut, that's pushing you to do the things that scare you. It's pushing you to show up on your stories because, you've got the ambition to go to be somewhere, to go to places. And ultimately, when you give into your ambitious self, when you give into that fire, it will take you to places that you didn't even think that you were going to go.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I wish everyone could see. That's the one thing with podcasts, because that you just like lit up talking about all of that. So thank you. Yes, that's the one thing with podcasting. No one can actually see our conversation, even though we're seeing each other talking. But no, I totally agree. Thank you for sharing that. And I think everyone else here would agree too. It's just like, it's just like that fuel, that fire inside you. I love that term. All right. So Alexis, before we start wrapping up though, any final remarks towards anyone listening who is a little bit hesitant, maybe lacking a little bit of confidence, whether that's launching their business or something as simple as launching their first reel? What is that little tidbit of advice that you give people who just are a little bit afraid? Right? Because that could be like the universe or this other side of you saying you need to do this, but it's gonna be weird, but you need to do this. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank
you. Absolutely. When it comes, I think that in all honesty, I think that our brains are wired a little bit funny when it comes to fear. We are so scared of fear, so scared, we're so fearful of being fearful that we don't even get to that next stage of, really indulging in that fear. If you're not scared to do something, then you're not pushing yourself, you're not growing. And I guess you could say that is the total opposite of being ambitious, because being ambitious is doing the things that freaking scare you, right?
No, I love that. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And okay, so we can't leave without people knowing where to find you. So I guess Instagram handle, website, whatever you want to do, but make sure people know how to contact you, please.
Yep, absolutely. Instagram handle, Alexis Sway. So there are two S's. I'm going to spell it out because people always get confused. Alexis Sway. That is where you can find me on Instagram. Yeah,
perfect. Yeah, no, and seriously, like I said in the beginning, go look at her Instagram, because I love the aesthetics. I love how you switch up the aesthetics every once in a while. I've been noticing, but then you stick to the same color, the same theme and everything. So your Instagram is gorgeous. It's such a nice page, and I'm loving your reels. I think they are so much fun. So reels are so cool. So yes, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm excited for everyone to listen. I hope people reach out. Please go tell Alexis that you listened to this episode and that you absolutely loved it. And of course, if you have any marketing advice or need help, send her a DM. She's super friendly in the DMs, and she does live in Australia. So I've only had you will be my second Australian on this podcast. So thank you for making the time, because I know it's a little bit early tomorrow morning for you, for us. So thank you so much for being on.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem, not a problem. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love talking about this stuff.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, everyone, we will wrap up, and I will talk to everyone next week. Keep staying ambitious and have a great day. See ya. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you got some value or just feel fired up, I would love for you to take a screenshot and tag me in your Instagram stories. It's always so motivating to see you getting the inspiration you needed to level up for my podcast. I'm going to keep showing up and bringing my best self to these episodes, and I encourage you to do the same. If you think a friend or family member would enjoy this episode, I would love for you to share the ambition. I can't wait to chat next week, but until then, keep being ambitious AF.